Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Today I'm going to talk about Sedana Medical. As you already mentioned, currently it's a medtech company, Swedish medtech company established 2005, but we are on our journey into the pharmaceutical field as well. So soon, hopefully, we are a pharmaceutical company as well. We are very much into the area of. We have some issues here. You don't see the full screen? No. Here we have no notes.
You have a problem with the presentation?
Yeah, you see missing 50% of the screen. Okay, I will do it anyway. It's no problem. Okay, let's start then. Sedana Medical, we are focusing on inhalation sedation for intensive care units in the hospitals, and we are taking this therapy from being a proven therapy to become an approved standard of care. That is our mission, and currently in the sedation field in the intensive care, they are using old intravenous substances such as midazolam, which is a benzodiazepine, and propofol, which is currently the standard of care. These pharmaceuticals do have challenges and side effects for the patients. They have problem actually, long wake-up times, tolerance development, and also increased mortality. And our therapy, inhalation sedation, do have inherent benefits compared to the intravenous sedation in an ICU. But it has not been available or accessible for the ICUs to use this until our product, Anaconda, which is a medical device, has entered the market, and our future or the pharmaceutical drug candidate, Isoconda, is hopefully also then on the market. And we as a company, we do have, I would say, a leading position and a unique position within this therapy. We have shown, despite an off-label situation, that there is a medical need, and we are selling our device in approximately 500 clinics in Germany. So there is a proof of concept and that there is a medical need for this product and for this therapy. We have also already initiated an ongoing registration phase 3 study in Germany, and hopefully we will. And the aim is to have the approval of the product and the therapy in Europe in the next 2 years. By that, we will also have a 10 years data exclusivity of this product and as well as the therapy. Which will give us a unique position also on the market. We have also initiated the regulatory strategy for the US market, which is very much interesting. And we have a very good sales development for the time being. Last year, we delivered 26% increase versus the year before. And during the first quarter this year, we increased by 60% compared to quarter one last year. This and the sales revenue is approximately last year 40 million Swedish crowns, and very very small compared to the potential in the market, which is between 10 to 20 billion Swedish crowns annually. Okay, let's hope that we have the presentation clear now. Yes. Some of you have already seen some of these introductions, but I will go through it quite fast so you have a feeling of what area we are working in. And in the intensive care, the patients that arrives in an intensive care unit, they are really critically ill patients with severe illnesses and injuries. Many of these patients need to have breathing assistance thanks to a ventilator. Actually, I would say approximately 30 to 50% of the patients that are in an ICU is ventilated. And to overcome that kind of treatment, you need to be sedated and also to stabilize the patients. You need to sedate them. I mean, because you are intubed with a tube into the lung, and that's the reason why you need to be sedated. And then the difference between sedation and general anesthesia is sedation is a lighter form of general anesthesia, you can say, or you can say that general anesthesia is a deeper sedation form. So it's more of different levels here. I mean, if you go into a surgery operation room, then you have using general anesthesia for all patients. That means that you can do surgery on the patient. You can knit the knife into the patient without the patient is waking up. If you should do that with a sedated patient, you will wake up. So it's more of that you are sleeping and but not that deep. So that's the difference. Currently, we are using in the ICUs old substances, intravenous substances, which do have challenges for the healthcare. As I said, inhalation sedation has not been available until the Anaconda arrival to the market, and now all of a sudden that is accessible. Inhalation and the volatile anesthetics are accessible for the ICUs. Because it's important to mention that, I mean, volatile anesthetic, which is isoflurane, is one example of this. You have another substance called sevoflurane. They have been used for general anesthesia in operation room for decades. And they are the standard of care to be used in the operation. But as I said, that is thanks to the anesthesia machines that actually have administered the substance and the pharmaceutical in the operation room. Now, when you have the Anaconda device, which is an anesthesia machine in miniature, open up the possibility for the ICU to use this kind of treatments and the pharmaceuticals. And going in then to the Anaconda treatment, and what we are using this is a disposable. You're using it 24 hours. You connect it to the current or available equipment that you have in an ICU. Between the ventilator, which is on the, I see here, this is the ventilator, and here you have the patient. You connect it between the ventilator and the patient, and also connect it with the syringe pump that normally administer ordinary intravenous products. So here you have a full rack of different syringes, and with morphine, you can have adrenaline or whatever. And in one of the syringes, you are using isoflurane. And that one is pumping up the liquid pharmaceutical into the Anaconda. Anaconda is vaporizing the product, so you get a gas instead of the liquid. So you inhale the product, you get sedated, and when you exhale it again, you have a circle system that reuse 90% of the pharmaceuticals. So you're only adding up another 10%, which makes the system more or less closed. And you have a heat and moisture exchanger. So actually you get the humid humid air coming into the patient. Otherwise, it's too cold and too dry air. So you need to have that as well. That also built into the system, as well as a bacterial and viral filter as well. So this system is used fully with the current equipment in the ICU. which definitely is unique, but still, Anaconda is only the facilitator of the drug, which is the product actually that give you these benefits. I mean, isoflurane, which is the substance that we are using now for registration, is the original substance within this area, volatile anesthetics. And you can say that when we gear up this product into sedation indication, we will have unique product, the only product in the world which will have sedation as indication. And the indication will give us 10 years of data exclusivity in Europe, and we will also connect it very closely that it should be administered with the Anaconda device. So, and that will give us a very good protection against potential generic comparator or copies to this one. So this will be a unique combination product, and that is the also intention also in the rest of the world to register it like that. The volatiles, they are, I mean, looking into the pharmaceutical, you reduce the ICU stay, you have organ protective functions, it's eliminated through the lungs, so you have no metabolization at all in the body, which gives you very good advantages when it comes to side effects. You have bronchodilator effects, which also is, I mean, the reason why you are ventilated is that you have not good lung capacity. So if you can improve the function in the lung, that is by definition fantastic, not only for sedation. And then you also have an analgesic effect, meaning that you can reduce the use of opioids as morphines, which also is good, especially in US, where all the guidelines actually demands the physicians to reduce all the usage of opioids. So this is a good feature as well. Looking in the medical benefits then, what this kind of mechanism of action give you as a physician is that you can reduce the wake-up time significantly versus the old way of sedate patients. I mean, if you are treated by benzodiazepine, for instance, sedated by 5 days in an ICU, it can take you the same time to wake up the patient. Sometimes it takes days to wake up a patient, and you don't know, you cannot plan that. When you turn off the Anaconda system, it takes you 20 minutes, either if you have been on sedation for many days. You can also see that you have a reduced number of side effects, and especially very interesting to see that we can have a reduction of delirium. And that is the most, not severe, I would say the most costly side effect you can get, because the patient that get delirium after sedation normally needs to stay in the hospital for a long time after for treating the patient. And delirium is, of course, you're getting agitated, you get some hallucination, and it's very problematic both for the patient and for the healthcare. And these two together, we have seen that you reduce the ICU stay in the hospital. And since that is the most expensive place you can be in a hospital, 30,000 crowns per day it costs. And if you can reduce that by some hours or days, then of course you gain a lot. Also, you have seen the treatment for delirium and the cost for that of ventilated patients in US. You can see if you can reduce that, it's also very important to find a saving in the healthcare. And the last point I wanted to add here is that, but not least, I would say, is that we have data showing that we long-term survival and actually the mortality risk is reduced by using inhalation sedation versus IV sedation. And this is very interesting. And of course, it's only one study so far, but this is actually very interesting data. Cost-wise, we are having 1,000 crowns or 100 euro per day, IsoConDa together with Anaconda, versus an average of the IV is 600-700 crowns. So, I mean, very small differences compared to what you can gain health economic-wise and cost-effective-wise. Market potential, I have already mentioned that. That is 10 to 20 billion, and that comes from 50 million patients in the ICU globally. 30 to 50% of them need ventilation, and we are focusing only on the most severe patients that needs deep sedation and more long-term sedation. And the reason for that is not only the market size, it's also that these patients that have a short and light sedation don't have the same complication with current IV sedation. The longer you are sedated and the deeper you are sedated, you get problem with the IV sedation you have currently. And patients that are sedated more than 24 hours do have it in 5 days in average. And with 1,000 crowns per day, give you the 10 to 20 billion. And what you can see is that European market potential then approximately 6 billion Swedish crowns. US, the same size population, not the population, same patient population size, but price levels of sedation in US is 3 times higher compared to Europe. So this is the reason why we have, a larger range here. Okay, and what are we doing? I said that we have already proof of concept in Germany, and that has been our test market thanks to a new guideline was published 2010, where they actually added inhalation sedation as an alternative already before we get the approval. And that's quite unique that you actually normally have in guidelines non-registered treatments. But I mean, what you can see is that we have now approximately 500 clinics using it regularly in Germany, and it's increasing. Not only the number of patients, not only the number of clinics, also the number of patients in each clinic, I would say. Geographically, we have a good spread in Germany, so it's not only in one center or something like that. The spread is all over Germany, and the interest is fantastic, I would say. This is the congress from Bremen. Actually, today we have another congress in Nuremberg in Germany, where we have a very big interest. And also we have now involving ourselves into international congresses. We were in Brussels a couple of weeks ago, where we had our first global advisor board, as well as 3 different scientific symposiums, which actually we had approximately 200 physicians in each of the symposia. Looking into the regulatory then, which I would like to comment a little bit more in detail too. In Europe, we have the aim to fulfill the registration and also have the marketing authorization in place in Europe by 2020. Most likely we will need an additional registration study in US, which give us another 2 years. 2022 is the plan for US. And rest of the world, what could we say there? We are approved in the device, I would say, is approved in Canada, Russia, Australia, South Korea. And South Korea is the first country in Asia. They are now also applied for reimbursement fully in South Korea as well. So hopefully in the end of this year we can get that. We have also submitted in Japan the Anaconda submission, and the intention here is to make more of a European strategy there, where we start with the device and actually add up the pharmaceutical later on. That is, and also we are looking into the China possibilities as well, which is, this is an interesting market. all of the Asia, but it's more of an opportunistic market for us just now, because we are very much focusing on Europe and US, which is our highest priority for the time being. Looking into the European registration study, which I want to comment upon. That is a study that now we initiated. We recruited the first patients during Q2 last year. The intention is that the study is a non-inferiority study, meaning that we are only supposed to show the same efficacy compared to IsoConDa compared to propofol, which is the standard of care intravenous treatment today. And it's a randomized study, and the total number of patients is 550 from the beginning. We are aiming to have this study ready by 2019, and we are doing it only in Germany, 20 to 25 sites, and all of the sites are used. I mean, they know how to treat with Anaconda, and they are doing it quite frequently. So we want to reduce all the hurdles, actually, not having any technical problem or anything like that. When this study is done, we will submit the dossier to the German authorities, BfArM, to be the reference authority among European Europe when the registration for Europe is ongoing. And what we have now done is, I mean, we also will have an interim analysis during this year, showing exactly the number of patients that is needed for this. What we can say is that we will need something between 300 and 550 patients. And this one will show very much how many we should aim for. And that will also be presented during the year. I mean, and most of you might know that we also have had now during the last weeks, we have had some questions from an inspection, which I wanted to comment upon, that how we are, I mean, how this study, I mean, this study is done by inpatient in the ICUs, and the patients in ICU, many of them are unconscious when they are included in the study, and there is a scheme how you could include patients into study, and which is approved by the authorities. And what actually happened during a couple of weeks ago, that we had some questions of one of this paragraph that is used for the inclusions, and it should not be and we are investigating the answers now, and what from our point of view, we can see that this is very clear that we can use all these different pathways, and most likely, and what we are working for now is that we can go back to exactly the same protocol as we have done in the past, and the worst case with that inspection is that we might need to only use the first 3 inclusion criteria, and that is approximately 70% of the current included patients. So the risk with such inspection is that you have no risk on the result of the outcome of the study. There is no risk for the pharmaceutical, and the risk that we might facing is that it can be a slightly delay of the recruitment pace for into the study. But we will come back to exactly the result of that inspection. Going forward to the market and the sales organization. As I said, we have We have an ongoing, very, very impressive sales in Germany. Our sales today is approximately almost 90% of our global sales is in Germany. We have started up in France, a copycat of the strategy that we have in Germany, and now we are looking into more or less 50 clinics that have started up also in France. Spain is starting up as well as the Nordic. We are also planning for UK and also other markets in Europe before we have the organization, before we have the registration in place in Europe. We want to be in all main markets with our own sales organizations. And we are now also preparing ourselves how to approach US as well. Going forward, I wanted to mention something that we have during the year, which is also very, very important, that we have recruited a new CMO into the organization, Peter Sacchi, which is the first researcher that actually used Anaconda for sedation in the ICU in the world. And he is the most referred researcher into this inhalation sedation. So this is a very big asset to have in the company. And he started now the 1st of January this year. From a board point of view, Thomas Eklund is the chairman, well known from life science in Sweden. Bengt Jolander he's one of the founders together with Sten Giebeck and Ola Magnusson. And then we also have an Irish consortium in part of this, the founder as well. And well, I mean, and the cornerstone during the IPO from June last year, we had Health Invest, which was the biggest cornerstone. These are the founders: Sten Giebeck, Link AB, that's Bengt Jolander, Magiola, that's Ola Magnusson, also the founder, Mike Ryan and Ron Farrell and Tony McCarthy. They are this Irish consortium. Alto Invest is also a cornerstone during the IPO. It's a French life science investment company, and you also have Nyenberg, which is you don't see here. They are a Dutch company, as well as the Brohuvudet, which is the Swedish one then. Target, what we actually presented during the IPO, and still we are working for. I mean, we had a target until the registration phase was that we should maintain 20% growth annually in average, but you should not expect a fantastic EBITDA during this registration period. We want to spend all money into development of sales and marketing. But on the other side, we will not have a material negative EBITDA either. So it's roughly around break even, but a little bit negative maybe then. But after the approval, we are looking into this is Europe targets. In Germany, we have approximately with current sales, we have approximately 3% of the potential market potential. In Europe, 3 years after registration, we believe that 10% of the target of the potential, which is 500 million SEK, would be realistic. And since this is I mean, we have a healthy gross margin with more than 70% today. And we believe that the sales forces and the marketing setup is since this is a very niched population and target group, we believe also that the EBITDA margin will improve heavily when the volumes goes up. And then, of course, as I said then now, we have 60% increase in sales during the Q1. So of course you can imagine that it will be another step forward here. We are having a gross margin of more than 70%. and we are roughly around break even, a little bit minus in 2017. So we are following the targets, which we actually stated during the IPO, and we are aiming for registration, as I said, then in 2020, and the interest is very of the product is actually fantastic in all over the world. So we get interest from more or less all continents for the time being. So now it's only a matter of priorities. So Europe and US is our priorities for the time being, and that is our aim for the near time future. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, Christer. Johannes, okay for us to stand here in the middle now? Or is that okay? Good.
Yeah.
So you were listed June last
June
year.
21st last year. Yes, that's
Yes,
right. Yes.
at 1950 share,
Yes. Yes.
and now you're 53.
Yeah. Well, I have not checked. It's 52. I think it was
Okay.
yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, still a decent annual return rate.
Yes, for sure. Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
I would say so.
Yeah.
What's behind this very good development, you think? You want to comment, or?
No, I mean, what is actually, I think, is unique is that we have. I mean, it's actually there is a medical need within this area. There is a gap in the market, and our product fit that gap perfectly, I would say. And it's not only theories. We have shown that this is a product that do have demands and actually can sell. We are selling the product with 60% increase despite off-label situation. And I think that kind of combination is interesting in combination with that actually to gear up the dossier and the registration dossier is kind of, I should not say that. I mean, it's a low risk study, I would say, compared to many other pharmaceutical projects out there.
So if we go into that, Isoconda is using, is it called isofluran?
Yeah, that's the generic substance.
I got
yes.
it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a known substance that's been out before. And
Yeah,
it's,
it has been out decades. So it's used for decades. It's used for hundreds, thousands of patients and for operation, for general anesthesia in operation.
So why then do you still have to go through? And does it go through? Have you already gone through phase 1, phase 2 trials?
Yeah, you don't
phase
need
3?
phase 1 and phase 2 because that's already gone through for general anesthesia. So only need to go through phase 3 for sedation. So you show efficacy versus standard of care, and you also need to show safety as well.
Okay, but it's a known substance. So
I mean, you know that. I mean, the efficacy, of course, general anesthesia is a deeper form of sedation. So of course you can say that the efficacy is there already, but you need to show it. When it comes to safety, it has been used for decades, 20, 30 years. And of course, if it would have been severe safety issues, that would have been known by now. But of course, we need to show it.
Yes. So I think one of the things that stands out with you, Sedana Medical, is that you have the off-license sales. And is that so that we understand it? That is because isofluran is a known substance, and an, let's see if I get this right, narkosläkare, anesthetist in Germany can override these permissions and say, in my ICU, I want to go with Sedana Medical.
Yeah, everyone can do that. All physicians can do that. But they have a tendency would like to prefer to have the registered product, and they use normally the off-label only as a last resource, as a rescue medicine or something like that, when they have no other alternatives. So that is normally how they do it. So it's not normally a standard of care in the clinics. So that is not then you need to have it registered. And also important to mention, the Anaconda device is approved. That is registered for for administration of volatile anesthetics is the pharmaceutical isoflurane. That is not registered for sedation, only for general anesthesia. So when they're using it for sedation, they're using it off-label.
Okay.
But they are allowed to do it, but they would normally, but then the authorities has not approved it, and then it's up to the physician to take the medical responsibility if something goes wrong.
Okay, so how many intensive care units are there in Germany, roundabout?
2,000.
And how many of them know about Anaconda and Seconda today?
Well, I don't know that, but we are using it regularly in 500, so 25% today. But as I said, they're using it regularly, but not as a standard of care. So they're using it quite late stage. Of course, there are some clinics that are starting to use it as standard of care as well. But
okay,
yeah,
impressive. Any question from the audience? Rutger? You could just answer mic there. Just speak up.
All right. Have you made any changes to isoflurane, or is it the standard product?
well, there will be change, not in the substance. We have not done any changes. We will do some changes in the packaging. So it's very much connected to our Anaconda. So we will have an adapter, special adapter that only fits into our syringes, and that syringe fits only into the Anaconda device. So it will be more a closed system. But we don't do any changes in the substance or anything like that.
What I'm aiming at is that you have, I suppose, a great margin on the product itself. Then you have your device, the Anaconda.
Mm.
And what hinders someone from using your Anaconda but buying isoflurane cheaply from some other source?
No, I mean, that is something that, of course, we have been thinking about quite a lot. And looking into the isoflurane price, generic isoflurane is quite cheap product. But sevoflurane, which is used much more frequent in different markets, is much more expensive, even though it's a generic. So our intention when we price, so we don't want to, of course, we would like to have a premium price for our own Isoconda product, but not as high, so we push them into the corner to actually need to use generic. But so we will have an active pricing model that actually will not increase the total cost of the treatment dramatically compared to the generics. And as I said, the daily cost will be approximately 1,000 crowns. And that means that depending on in which market you are, you can price the device and the pharmaceutical differently. So you get, I mean 1,000, maybe you can have 80% of the device and 20 of the pharmaceutical, but in another market, maybe you can have 50-50, depending on how it looks. And the third one is that, of course, you are not allowed, if there is a registered product in the market which is registered for sedation, you're not allowed actually to use the non-registered product as a regulation. So that will not happen. But of course, it can happen in different markets. Actually, that is right. But that is the reason also why we would like to make sure that our bottle, pharmaceutical bottle, do have a special connector and adapter, only possible to connect with our system. And if you have another generic isoflurane bottle, you cannot connect. And that is another part where we will, of course, use that as well as the pricing strategy.
And the Anaconda is one Anaconda for one patient. It's a disposable, so you buy.
No, you can have one Anaconda for 24 hours. So one patient can maybe be with 5 Anacondas.
It cannot be reused for another patient.
No. That never happens.
Okay.
Yep.
Time flies. We could talk a lot longer about this. I'll give the audience a final. Anyone have a final question for Christer? Okay then.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Christer Ahlberg, Sedana Medical.
Good.